So today I will attempt to disprove chemical basis for creation of life and how it contradicts Darwin's theory of evolution and disproves Darwin's theory of evolution. So they did this experiment called artificial life experiment a long time ago. It's called the Miller-Urey experiment. It was done in the United States, and they heated some ocean water. They used some electrodes to discharge sparks with a mixture of gases. They did some condenser, with adding some additional water. And then they looked at the condensed liquid with complex molecules, and they said, yes, we found life. And most recently, NASA has this department called astrobiology. They said we repeated the experiment, and yes, we found life, artificial life. We could create life. But this was like, they just created some amino acids, but you don't see any crawling cockroaches or crawling lizards coming out of the experimental vial. And they only created 20 amino acids, whereas human being has more than 200 amino acids. So this is in 1953. Mr. Miller said a production of amino acids under possible primitive earth conditions. He just identified 5 amino acids: aspartic acid, glycine, alpha aminobutyric acid, and 2 versions of alanine. So these are, they're in natural proteins. Right now, if you cut open your body, you'll find these things. But then it's not like creating life. He just created some acids. Right, in 1955 Journal of American Chemical Society research paper, he identified a few other compounds such as carboxylic and hydroxy acids, but they are at very low levels. What he didn't mention in his paper was they developed arsenic and other toxic chemicals also as a part of that. So that toxic chemicals would have killed any life that came, even if it came. So that part he never mentioned. That was found by subsequent scientists. So one gentleman named Scott M. Hughes, he said collapse of evolution, means he's proving Darwinian theory wrong from a chemical perspective. Just like Michael Cremo broke Darwin's theory down from an archaeology perspective. He's saying, this Mr. Hughes is saying that the concentrations of methane and ammonia were carefully selected to ensure the production of organic molecules. And there is no evidence that Earth's atmosphere was so characterized. So it's not like to create life, Earth's atmosphere had so many parts of methane and so many parts of ammonia. If you actually go into Earth's atmosphere, you will see what? 70-something% is nitrogen, maybe 22 or 23% oxygen, a little bit of hydrogen. So it was not found with methane and ammonia. So Miller-Urey experiment there breaks down. And also, there's no evidence that Earth's early atmosphere was reducing. There is considerable evidence to suggest that Earth has an oxidizing atmosphere. Oxidizing means there is oxygen. Actually, there is oxygen, which I showed in my timeline chat also. There was an explosion of oxygen at one point. And then a methane ammonia reducing atmosphere would be fatal to life forms, right? Like there have been murder cases where people put ammonia on their victims' faces and these victims died. So there's no question of actually getting life. And then they did the simulation of lightning, right? Is unrealistic. Like if you go back to that diagram, they said they just put some electrodes and created a spark and said this spark is equivalent to lightning spark. But that's not equivalent. There's very different, right? Actual lightning would have destroyed any organics if they did like really strong lightning. And then the molecules produced in Miller-Urey apparatus would react detrimentally to life forms that are trying to evolve, right? Chemically, they would destroy all hope of producing life. So one PhD is claiming, yes, I created life. Another PhD is coming and killing it. He's saying this is all a bunch of nonsense. You just did some random experiments. Actually, if anything, the methane and the lightning would kill life. The other problems are they cheated. They designed the apparatus to separate amino acids once they were formed, right? Because if they had not done that, the next electrical spark may have rearranged atoms into some other form. Some other new chemicals would have come about because of the electrical charge, right? New means what? some other chemicals in the existing list of millions of chemicals. And also the amino acids that they did produce were half left-handed and half right-handed. So if you go into organic chemistry, there are left-handed acid molecules and right-handed acid molecules. So that is what you would expect from a random process like electric spark. The trouble is only left-handed amino acids are used in organisms. So for example, if you analyze your own body blood or plasma, you'll only see left-handed. You won't see right-handed molecules. So additional molecules were formed other than amino acids like formaldehyde and cyanide. You know, potassium cyanide, if somebody puts on their tongue, within 1 second they will die. There were people who tried to tell the taste of cyanide. They put it on their tongue and before they could write, they're dead. Right? So they're destructive to life. So they're only talking about positive amino acids, but what about the negative amino acids that came about? These things will actually kill life form. So origin of life through chemicals has been conclusively proven wrong by other scientists. Although even till day, if you look at a 8th grade or 9th grade textbook of your kids, you will see they'll say, once upon a time, there was this primordial soup. And from there, the chemicals combined and life came about. Like the first organism came, single-celled organism. From there, they mutated and they became, fish. And then later they became snakes. And then some of them started changing and they became birds. And from there, chimpanzee came. And then from chimpanzee, human being came. So both theories are wrong. Life from chemicals is wrong, and human coming from monkey is also wrong. Both theories are wrong. Matter of fact, most of the modern scientific, most of the recent scientific theories are being disputed one by one, which points us back to a creation, like a creator who created all of the living entities rather than they coming from chemicals. And why these scientists do it this way is because they hate God. So they don't want to bring God into the picture. They say everything happened by an accident automatically through some kind of random combinations like that. So any questions thus far? Okay, let's move on. Why people cheat? Because cheating pays off in science. in your office, if you want to get a job, you have to do your job very carefully. But in science, because nobody else can verify these things, people cheat. They will make some claims. And if somebody else tries to repeat that experiment, they say, oh, no, we did it in very controlled conditions. Therefore, we got the results. You will not get the same results. There will also be a caveat at the bottom. These results may not be replicated, something like that. Right? And second, intelligence, like, an intelligent creator created, not chance made things happen. Right? They're saying only under certain conditions it will happen, which means they are leaving things to chance or statistics. Third, a bad experiment like a spark does not equal lightning bolt. Right? In order to create the universe, think about the size of the lightning bolt that you need to create planetary systems. They're saying, oh, just like we experimented with this spark. So there's basically cheating going on. And atheism came from all countries, including India. But in this case, the atheist Alexander Ivanovich Oparin, he wrote a book called Origin of Life, where he said that solely through random processes, life came about in what he termed as biochemical soup that he believed once existed in the oceans. So from this biological soup, biochemical soup, suddenly organic molecules came about through forces such as lightning, ultraviolet light, meteorites, deep sea hydrothermal vents, hot springs, volcanoes, earthquakes, or electrical discharges from sun. So they're saying there are so many energies, all of a sudden the energies got together and they said, hey, why don't we create life? That's how his theory goes. So the argument is if only the correct mix of chemicals and energies were present, life would be produced spontaneously. Means you don't need God. Life will just come. And this has been drilled down in all textbooks in India, in China, less so in China because they're a communist country, in all of Europe, America. So everybody thinks life came from chemicals, and then we are all product of evolution and we came from monkeys. Not true, not true. Because all these species coexisted during Ramayana time. And they spent a lot of money also to prove this idea, and no results. They cannot repeat these experiments. What um, the atheist mentioned, Alexander. So Srila Prabhupada says this material world is a composition of three qualities: sattva, rajas, and tamas, which is sattva is goodness, rajas is passion, and tamas is ignorance, which are working everywhere. These three qualities are present in various proportions in all species of life. For example, trees produce nice fruit. Otherwise, some trees, while others are simply for fuel. Some trees don't produce any fruits. If you see on the roadside, in America, you'll see some firs. They don't produce fruit. There are a lot of trees. They produce zero fruit. Useless. Better to have some mango plants. Because this is due to association with particular qualities of nature. And among animals also, these qualities are present. A cow is in the quality of goodness, lion is in passion, and monkey is in ignorance. So according to Darwin, Darwin's father is a monkey. Because he's saying we all came from monkeys, but it's based on the qualities. Like a lion cannot be in ignorance, a monkey cannot be in passion. A lion is in passion, it rips apart other animals and drinks their blood and eats their flesh. Whereas a monkey, it will just steal some fruit from the plants, trees. So Darwin has theorized foolishly. To prove that theory, they must be able to inject the proper chemicals to make branches and leaves grow again. So to say that, yeah, life came from chemicals, then if the tree is dead, right, they should be able to inject some chemicals. Same thing, if a human being is dead, they should inject some chemicals and make them alive again. But why are they not able to do it? Okay, old people, bodies become very weak. But young people who die in an accident, why can't they inject chemicals and make them alive? Also, Srila Prabhupada says the scientific method includes observation, hypothesis, and then demonstration. Then it is perfect. So scientific method, there's nothing wrong. But the scientists cannot actually demonstrate in their laboratory that life comes from matter. So they themselves are breaking the scientific method. They simply observe some natural phenomena and speak nonsense. They are like children. In our childhood, Prabhupada is saying, we observed a gramophone box. Gramophone means you have a big vinyl record, then you take a little thing from the top, like an arm, and the arm reads on the vinyl record, and the music comes out. And people thought that there within the box was a man singing, an electric man. We thought there must have been an electric man or some kind of ghost in it, which is not true, right? It's because of electrical connections it is happening. Then what is the element that's lacking? Scientists say that chemicals are cause of life. But all the chemicals that were present when the tree was alive are still there. And these chemicals are still supporting the lives of many living entities, such as microbes and insects. Even in a dead tree, right, there is still life because all the microbes and insects are living on it. So they cannot say that life energy is lacking in the body of a tree. The life energy is there, is very much there. So these materialistic scientists, some scientists are spiritual, but vast majority are materialistic. They're just croaking, ka, 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 ka. But when death comes, their false scientific industry is finished. And in the next life, they may become dogs, cats, or something like that. Because they are, barking too much in this life, nature will give them a body of a dog or a cat in their next life. So I have this book on my desk, Life Comes from Life. It's a very beautiful book. And Prabhupada defeats a lot of, false theories. Like this book is about 1/4 of an inch thick, small book, about 4 inches wide and 6 inches long. And all of my presentations are coming from that book, the previous 2 presentations also. means so much knowledge is packed by Swami Prabhupada in his lectures, in his talks, in his books. So any thoughts, any questions?
So what was the name of the book, Prabhuji?
Life comes from life.
The same one. Okay.
Chandar, any thoughts?
So, is it something um, all religions going that way, saying life comes from life, and but on the other side, is science rely only upon other way, or science also has conflict results?
Science has a lot of conflicts built in, right?
Yeah,
Because scientists are not agreeing with each other.
right.
I just showed you that
Yeah,
one
something like that.
scientist
Yeah,
uh,
he was
contradicted the other
against.
scientists, Scott
Yeah,
and Hughes,
okay.
right? And then in the other lecture, I showed you how archaeologists are contradicting Darwin's theory, right? Using biology, which is there trapped in the layers of the earth. So different scientists are contradicting different other scientists. So that's why science can never give you the complete picture. Only spiritual textbooks like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, they can give you the real knowledge. Other books cannot give you real knowledge, right? So Darwin said descent with modification. Whenever something descends, it just gets modified. And somehow or the other, from monkeys, this human being came. And this chimpanzee branched off into something else. And then he came up with this tree of life for bacteria also. But that is not actually helping us. It is confusing us even further, right? And then if you go to this Galapagos Island, where he wrote his, got the basis for his book, there are some things called Darwin finches, where their noses, he said, are going through genetic changes. But later scientists found out that there are no genetic changes. So they are going through extra genetic mechanism. So what happens in summer, their beaks are shrinking, but once there is rain, their beaks are again becoming big. So a lot of what this one man has done has destroyed civilization, because now everybody thinks they came from monkeys, so there is no responsibility. We can eat, drink, and be merry, and they're not thinking about what happens to me after death, because these atheistic scientists like Darwin, and he's not even a scientist, he doesn't have a MS degree or a PhD, he's an MA, Master of Arts. So people are reading somebody who has a MA degree, and we are all like from science background, right? We are believing him,
And
right?
I think only his thoughts were insisted more on textbooks, right? Not all the science, all the conflicts he had. I don't think that's something even written in textbook.
No, textbooks like basically say, yeah, according to Darwin's theory of evolution, we evolved from monkeys.
Yeah,
They state it like a
right.
fact. They don't say it is a theory, but only when people, study a lot. And I've been doing a lot of studying thanks to Swami Prabhupada from ISKCON and his disciples who have opened my eyes. I'm able to understand this, right? Because when I graduated from 8th class, 9th class in high school, I believed that, yeah, whatever is there in the textbook is correct. They are stated as facts. But what did Darwin say? He said, I think. He wrote, this is Darwin's handwriting. He didn't say this is a fact. He said he thinks, right? And then there is this thing called Cambrian explosion that I talked in the other lecture, where all of a sudden 530 million years ago, magically millions of new species came about. How did that happen? If it is gradual evolution, how can all these millions of things can come all at one time, right? So there are a lot of fallacies. Fallacy means wrong basis for what we are being fed today. And the reason we are being fed today is governments don't want us to think too much, right? They just want us to be good productive workers. We work, we pay taxes. Like in the early days in England, they would actually, end of the day, everybody would be given alcohol drink nicely, don't question anything. Drink and go to sleep. Right? So yeah, there is a dilemma. One other scientist wrote a book, Cambrian Explosion, Evolution's Big Bang or Darwin's Dilemma. It's a dilemma because Darwin could not explain this. So suddenly you had so many new species. How do you explain that? Darwin himself famously considered that this was at odds with the normal evolutionary process, which means he's saying that I put together the evolutionary theory, but this Cambrian explosion is at odds. At odds means it doesn't agree with my theory. He himself agreed. But all the textbooks that are being written, including in 2019, my son was going to a local high school and his textbooks had the same thing as a fact. So yeah, lot to be said.